I'm gonna see if I can turn your audio up a little bit so everybody can hear you. Um, and do me a favor too, when you talk, just feel free to talk extra loud. Just that way we don't have any challenges and stuff like that. So
Okay.
now I wanted to let everybody know why I brought Miss Etienne in. Shonna is what I call one of my VIP homies. She's out of West Orange, New Jersey, and she cares about the community, and she's what I call a forward-thinking Black woman in the sense, and I emphasize the term Black woman because I believe that building the nation requires our mothers to. If our mothers ain't on board, then ain't nothing going down because the mothers are the givers of life in the community, and that's why I challenge all of you men to make sure you always show respect to that. And so to get kind of started, I want to just say, okay, so first and foremost, you're wearing a shirt about Black love, and so tell us about your T-shirt and what it says and why you're wearing it.
Well, this T-shirt, it says Black love is beautiful. And I actually got this T-shirt through Images You Won't See on TV. They have a really big Facebook group. I think they're on Instagram as well, but their Facebook group is large. It's over 600,000 followers. And I found this T-shirt there and I really liked it. When I was going through their T-shirts, they have a lot of teenage T-shirts for melanated people. And I just absolutely like it. So I purchased it because it symbolizes what I believe in. And I believe in restructuring, rebuilding the Black family because we're taking a hit. We've been taking a hit for a long time and it's time for us to come back, make it bigger. And I see a lot of beautiful Black couples, but you won't see that on TV. You won't see that in the papers in a positive light. So I'm bringing it to the attention of others. And when I wear it in public, you'll be surprised how some people look at me and respond to me in conversations that I've had with people that is just like, wow, interesting. This is how you think.
Well, it's kind of unfortunate that we live in a world where it's almost like we have to, remind ourselves that Black love is beautiful. It's almost like we're relearning how to love each other. And it makes you wonder why do we forget, like where did this idea come from because you don't really see sort of white people saying, white love is beautiful, Asian love is beautiful, but Black people, it seems like we're sort of in this era where there's just this need to kind of push new thinking when it comes to, who we are and how we should treat each other. What are some of your thoughts on that, based on just the statement I just made?
I think you're absolutely right. For me, I would take it even further than to say push new thinking. I would say change the narrative. Change the narrative. Because all the research that I do, much of my research and my studies to complete my doctorate, much of the research that I do, the narrative really focuses on the social ills that's found in our community. Social ills such as drug abuse, domestic violence, infidelity, poverty, you name it. Those are the social ills. And a lot of the research out there really focuses on that. It's rare that you will find anything that says this is a healthy, great family. Since the last time we had the Cosbys, what really have we had that really signifies that Black love we're looking for? So what you're saying about is a shame that we have to even wear this shirt. You're absolutely right. It's a shame that we even have to talk about it, but we need to bring back a sense of community. We need to bring back a sense of self-love. We need to say that it's okay to be dark and beautiful. We need to say that there is no colorism between us. There's no light skin versus dark skin. There's no rich versus poor. There's no married couples versus single couples. We need to wash all of that because you don't hear about those things in other communities, at least not publicly. But if I have to wear the shirt so that when people meet me and they come in contact with me, be mindful of the stereotypes that you have in your mind and in your thinking about who I am because they're false. You don't know me. So I'm going to make you uncomfortable with my shirt so you can change your beliefs about Black love.
Wow. Well, I love that.
And that's for white people and Black people, not just white people.
Absolutely. I think it's very important that we be aggressive, and really pushing a message that is going to empower our people. I think we have to be assertive, because the people that are harmful to us, the people that don't love us, the people that want to see us fail, they've always been extremely aggressive when it came to destroying the Black community, kind of slowing us down, making us hate each other. And so to me, I think that energy needs equal energy kind of matching it, except, but I can say you can be aggressively loving, and you know what I mean, in the sense. So I tell people all the time that I invented something this morning when I went jogging. Whenever I go running and the oxygen flows to my brain, weird ideas come to mind. And I said, I invented something I call Black Power Vision. And I said, Black Power Vision is where you clearly see those who believe in the progress and the power of the Black community. And those who don't see it, you forgive them, and then you might have to ignore them, and because it does not benefit you on any level to sit around thinking about all the reasons why you're going to fail or all the reasons why things are going to continue to be bad. If, for example, if I'm trying to climb Mount Everest, and this is going to shift into another area of work that you do. If I'm going to go climb Mount Everest, and you had a list of all the reasons why I can do it, and all the reasons why I can't, and all the reasons, all the things that can go wrong, then the list of can'ts is going to far exceed the list of cans, right? Yeah. You know what I mean? Like you have more reasons why you can't climb Mount Everest than you do that you can. So what benefit do you really have to look at this other list over here, other than to say, okay, let's figure out the solutions? So what I believe is that, unfortunately, in our community, whether you talk about love, or you talk about business, or you talk about just life in general, and they're all linked. Life and love and business are kind of connected. You have a lot of hopelessness. We have so much hopelessness. And my argument is that the antidote to hopelessness it's not so much just hope. Hope might be that first step. The antidote to hopelessness is solutions. And so what I respect about you is that you're a solution-oriented person. You're not a person that, based on what I've seen, I've observed you through video for a while. You're not really a person that seems to sort of say, okay, things are bad, and let's talk about how bad things are. You're a person that says, okay, a couple of things could be improved. Let's find a solution. Can you kind of talk about that a little bit?
Yeah, I don't like to focus on the negative, because I'm a believer that the more negativity you focus on, you're going to bring into your life. I'm a strong believer about where energy goes, or where focus goes, that's where energy flows. So if I'm focusing on the negative only, and I have no antidote to it, I have no positivity to it, what's going to begin to happen in my life? I believe, this is my opinion, but I believe I will start believing in nonsense that I say. Right. And it has a way of taking hooks. I tell people all the time, watch your anchors, because if you anchor on something, I'm going to explain anchors, but if you anchor on something that's negative, it will take root in your thinking. And we are not aware of the subconscious and how the subconscious mind really does control our behaviors. So yes, I recognize things in our community is bad. I recognize families are struggling to stay together. I recognize these things, but if I start changing that narrative, if I start focusing on the positive, if I start letting people see, not only through my example, but examples of other people in the community that are doing things that are defying the odds, then maybe people might say, you know what, I can do that too. Right? If I spend my time saying, this is why men suck, and this is why women are single, and this is why we can't get anywhere, and this is why we're broke, but I'm not offering any solution to it, then people are going to start to believe, yes, I'm the victim, and this is the reason why I'm in this situation. I don't promote victim mentalities. I really don't.
Well, I think the victim mentality I agree with you. I think that we have to be very, very careful if you're constantly defining yourself as a victim. I don't visualize victims as being empowered people. I visualize victims as people that have gone through something terrible, but I don't see them as active and sort of people that can control their environment. I see them as people who are affected by other people's desire to control their environment, right? Yes. And I just never really could see much value in ever defining myself as a victim, even if I was a victim. Let's say God forbid I got mugged or something like that, and I'm in the police station, and they keep saying, well, Dr. Watkins is a victim. He's a victim. He's a victim. I might take the term victim. I might take that label just for legal purposes. But at the end of the day, I might go home and go get me a gun and be like, I ain't going to be a victim tomorrow.
Exactly, right?
Let's try that again. Yes. The new narrative will have a different victim, and it ain't going to be me. Now, in all seriousness, though, I personally think that there's something to be said about this idea of being solution oriented, also the patience of letting the solutions play themselves out, knowing that we have big problems to solve and that they're not going to be solved overnight. Because I think sometimes when we try to solve a problem and the solution is not instant, it's not like Kool-Aid and water and sugar and then you got it all done. When it's not simple, people get frustrated, they give up, they walk away. And I think that's kind of detrimental, to us as a community. What do you think?
I think that when people are not, sorry, I'm getting like distracted. I hear my son coming in. Can you just rephrase that one more time? I'm like, what is he doing?
Oh, it's okay. It's okay. You know what? By the way, if your son comes in, just put him on your lap. Just bring him in.
That was the entrepreneur.
Oh, the big son. Oh, the big. Now you have a 3-year-old too, right?
I have a 3-year-old as well.
Is that a girl or boy?
The 3-year-old is a boy.
Okay, yeah. Well, if the 3-year-old comes in, put him on your lap, and he'll join the interview, and I'm sure he'll have something to say. If the entrepreneur walks in and you really want to embarrass, he's a preteen, right? About 13.
13.
If you really want to embarrass the hell out of a teenager, bring him on camera and let him talk. So I'd love to hear what he has to say. So don't worry. So actually, first, before we move on, I want to make sure everybody knows this is Miss Shonna Etienne. Shonna is the founder of the Center for Counseling and Holistic Services, and she's out of West Orange, New Jersey. She is just an all-around amazing person. She also coaches people, a lot of counselors, but also a lot of just entrepreneurs in general on how to kind of get their business going, how to kind of get off the ground. And so that's why I brought her into Intellectual Chocolate today. And she's just a smart, cool Black woman. I want to ask you this question. I see you missed the first one, so I'm going to ask a different one now.
I'm so sorry. I was listening, and then I heard him. I was like, "Oh, stop calling my name."
Don't even worry about it. Don't even. At least you're honest. At least you're honest. A lot of people try to fake it. They'll say, "Well, Dr. Watkins, I thought the donuts were delicious," and I'm like, "What are you talking about? We didn't talk about that." So don't even worry about it. You know what? In Intellectual Chocolate, we have fun, so it's totally informal. I swear to God, there's no reason to put on any airs. Now, I want to ask you about this. There was a video you did where you were talking about strategies you use with your son, where your son had gotten suspended from school, and you took a different approach. And the video has probably been viewed maybe 7-8 million times now, something like that. And I love the video. My brother sent it to me. My brother was like, he's like, "Have you seen this video?" And I said, "No, let me watch it." And I started watching it, and I said, "Wow!" And I really enjoyed watching it because I saw an industrious mom who was saying, "Look, this is what I did for my son. It was a little different, and here's why it worked." It reminded me of my relationship with my mom. I remember being 12 and getting in a lot of trouble at school, and we didn't know the solutions. My mom didn't really know sort of exactly what to do. Also, you mentioned our Black Millionaires of Tomorrow program, which I found intriguing because I like to know how people feel about it. And you were saying, "Look, I don't even know this guy, and here's what I did." And I thought that it was really interesting. So can you tell me a little bit about just that whole experience and how you did it and all that stuff?
Yes, I did it because my son is everyone's child is unique. Okay. My son is one of those sons that very smart and mannerable. When he's fixated on something, he's very fixated. And oftentimes the school system, the public school system, they don't like that kind of personality. He's a forward thinker. He's been skipped in school. He has a high intellect, and they test him all the time, but it keeps coming back very superior. I don't know what they're looking for. Are they looking for it to be less than? I'm not sure. But he's highly intelligent.
Very superior. I like that.
Very superior. That's how they score. That's how they score their IQs. So anything that's above 130 is considered very superior. They just stop ranking it. So wow. When he's in school, if he doesn't feel what you're saying is accurate and he can prove that what you're saying is wrong, he doesn't know the tact of how to challenge that, because he does have he's challenged with a disability. He's challenged, let's put it that way. He doesn't have one. He doesn't live with one. I don't like those terms, but he's challenged by one. Fix my stand because it's going to fall. And don't take any more bikes out my house. Your friends need to get their own bikes. It's not my fault. Sorry about that. So
it's okay.
What happens?
I love it. Keep being a mama. I love it.
Because he thinks he can just come in and take our bikes so he can go entertain the whole world and hasn't made any money off for it. There's 2 bikes out this house now. At least charge somebody something. But nonetheless, it really just bothered me. It really does. But nonetheless, so oftentimes the school, even though he has an IEP, which is designed to protect him from mistreatment in the school, is to protect children with disabilities, they don't follow it in the school. They do whatever they want to do and suspend my child whenever they think they want to suspend their child, because most parents don't fight back. And in our town, we live in a town where a majority of the people here are affluent. So it's either they don't have time to fight back to school, or they're foreigners. They don't really speak English. They don't really understand the American way. So they just ignore it. They leave everything be. I'm not that mom. So my whole thinking with that scenario was I would handle the school legally. how I'm supposed to file a complaint against them, go to meetings, write emails, CC it up the line, contact the state board. I'm going to do all of that. But at the same time, he has to learn social skills. So how am I going to discipline him that he can structure that energy where it's not getting him in trouble in school constantly? I understand his personality is his personality. And there are some things about social interaction he doesn't fully yet grasp like other children do. He's learning that. And most highly intellectual people are a little quirky. They're a little eccentric. They're off a little, right?
Right.
So I said, I got to do something different because I've already taken everything I can possibly take from this kid and it doesn't make the connection. And I don't believe in physically beating my kids. I don't believe in that. So I'm not saying that people shouldn't do whatever they want to do. I don't feel that it has long lasting effects. You may get a behavior that you want out of someone from beating them, but what would it do to the relationship? And I always pair it off with the history of slavery, how we were beat so that they can control our behavior and our thinking and everything else about us. But what has that done? History would have it to the relationship between whites and blacks. It's destroyed it, right?
Yeah, and also I agree with you. I think beating the kids. I knew a guy who used to brag about how he beat his kids and would terrorize them into obedience. And it wasn't sort of based on any sort of, thoughtful parenting. And he'd say, so his response to everything was, oh, my kids won't get in line because I'll choke them or I'll beat that ass. And the thing was, he had a lot of kids. And a lot of his kids went to jail. A lot of his kids became adults and just got into all kinds of crazy stuff because it's almost like the beating made them immune to the punishment. They just didn't care. They just, like, oh, I'm gonna get beat anyway, so I might as well do what I want. And so I agree with you. I'm not one to say that you're a bad parent if you spank your child. I got some whoopings and I deserve them.
I got some whoopings too. Don't get me wrong. My mother used to she used to let it rip. Her belt was an extension cord. I think that's
Lord.
No, that was Zorro. He played no games. Right? But it got to the point when I got 15. I was like, okay, what I'm going to do, get hit. Let me get hit and I'll be on my way again.
Yep, exactly.
If I'm going to get beat, I'm going to come home at 11 o'clock and I'm going to get beat anyway. So I'm going to stay out and have fun. That's the kind of response I had to my mother's beating. And I'm not saying that this applies to all children. I think it's culturally based too. And I grew up in New York City in the Bronx. So it was a very different. We had access to every train system. We was able to get everywhere in the city, into New Jersey, even back into the city without our parents even knowing. So I had a different lifestyle from my children. My children don't have to have that lifestyle. And I'm not saying that what my mother did was wrong. And I'm not going to say it was right either. She did what she felt she had to do, given our environment, given our culture, our situation. She did what she had to do to keep me alive. Because most Black parents, when we're responding to our kids in that way, not all, but most, we're responding out of fear. Respond out of fear. So it's important for me to know when I yell at him and I attack him, what is it that I'm fearing? I'm fearing another suspension. I'm fearing him not doing well and getting kicked out of the district because he does have a disability and then putting him back into one of those schools that really did not serve him right. I'm fearing that when he gets to high school, if he goes to this public high school, which he's not, but if he goes to this high school, he's already railroad because he's trapped. He has an IEP. I'm fearing that more bad descriptions about my son is going to go in writing. And when people meet him in the next grade, they're not meeting my son, the individual. They're reading what's been written about him. So I know when I react that way, I'm reacting because of my fear of what his future is going to hold.
Interesting.
Does that make sense?
Interesting. Yes.
So instead, I said, Shonna, when you're getting upset and you're getting angry like this, where is it coming from? And it came from all of that. And I said, do a different approach. And that's when I was on Facebook. I was just angry, but I never post my personal life unless it's going to edify somebody, unless it's meant to teach somebody and have them to do something differently. I keep my personal life personal. But what I did instead was I saw an advertisement you had about the what is the name of the program, the children's program? Black Millionaires of Tomorrow. Yes, Black Millionaires of Tomorrow. It was a 3-day course with three modules, 15 lessons or something like that. And I said, you know what? Since he has to stay home anyway, because he's suspended, he got a 3-day suspension on all 3 days, you're going to be doing this program. And I run my own business. So I was able to go to my office and in between my sessions, come back and check on him. And what I did was, you have to take this course. Every course has a test to see if you're learning. And I'm going to log on from my office and I'm going to see if you're learning. And if there's a problem, you're going to see me when I get home. I'm not playing with you. And
Wow.
he sat down there and he did it. He did every lesson, and he knew he only had to do one a day. And when we got out, I started to quiz him. He was like, why do you have to quiz me? I passed all the quizzes. I said, but you could have been rewinding. And he started to teach me things about the stock market. Now, I knew little things about the stock, but I didn't know much. And he started to teach these things and tell me why he understands certain things. And he was like, Mom, look. And he brought up Google and he started Googling certain companies. And he was like, this is worth this much, but look at how it was doing over the last year. And he started to apply everything. So I was shocked as hell, like, oh my God. And I said, well, let's put this to the test. Let's put this to the test. And I said, so if I give you, I said, scratch that. If we, talking about my husband and I, if we loan you $500 to invest, would you be interested? So he was like, yeah, but what's it going to cost? So we had this whole dialogue about what he would have to give up as collateral, because he learned about collaterals through your program, for that $500. And then at the end, the return on investment, how much did I want out of it? So my husband and I just said to him, okay, so we understand you understand ROI, and we're not asking you for a return on investment. We're just asking you for the collateral. So we took his hoverboard, we took his PS4, we took a bike, a television. We're asking you for collateral.
That sounds like a torture chamber.
But that was my form of discipline, right? Because that stuff he don't need know-how. It ain't gonna educate you on anything, right?
I love it.
So I said, this is all we want. And my husband said, and when you make your first profit, we get our $500 back, and you just focus on your profits. You can take it out or you can invest it. But he goes, but I can't take it out because I'll get charged a fee. And he knew he was applying it. So when I did that video, I had no idea who you were. I didn't even know you. And when I did that video, I did it because I said, wait a minute. So many people reach out to me and they're struggling with trying to keep their preteens and their teenagers in check. And at my counseling center, we see so many families on the verge of being broken because people are running out of solutions. And I did that video. It was only on my personal Facebook page. It wasn't, I didn't know it was going to go viral. I didn't even know that I shared it publicly. Wow, but I did that video just because I wanted my friends that I'm connected with on Facebook to say, hey, maybe this might be a different way to approach your children. If you have a child who's struggling in school, to get his mind right. And besides, what do our children really know about money? My son taught me something. And that's all I was doing with that video. I had no idea 8 million people was going to view it. I had no idea I was going to meet you. I had no idea I'd be connected to your circle. I had no idea any of that stuff was going to happen. I just wanted to save my son's life. That was my only purpose. And since then, he knows anytime he does something that he's not supposed to do, the consequences is he has to generate revenue. So he knows it. Yeah, so now he's working on selling his, obtaining his first property and selling it through wholesaling.
Really?
Yes.
He's that advanced. Oh my
goodness. I had him, this other punishment he got, I had him go to another website and read their ebook. It was free. We downloaded the ebook, and for his 3-day suspension, he had to finish that ebook. And then he had to start applying it. So anything I have him read that's about money or is about business is more than just reading it. Application is important. We call it TOL, transfer of learning. So we're having him actually apply what he's learning. And he knows about the bandit signs. He's already has sent out letters to property owners. He's asking landlords would they ever consider selling their rental properties. Like, he's really working on. So we have some buyers. We just have to obtain the property now. And I help him as much as I can.
Wow. Well, everybody, I want you to know I'm talking to Miss Shonna Etienne. Shonna is not just a really smart, classy Black woman. She's also the founder of the Center for the Center for Counseling and Holistic Services in West Orange, New Jersey. She is talking about what she did with her son when she was having trouble with him at school. And what she did was, and again, I did not know her before any of this. Now we're friends. Now we know each other. But at the time, I didn't know who she was or anything. The video was sent to me because she talked about how putting her son in the Black Millionaires of Tomorrow program helped her solve an issue that my mother used to have, where, you know, your son's not a stupid child at all, but he's not fitting into school. And so what I want to kind of dive into a little bit, Shonna, on to your point. I read an article not too long ago that was talking about high school valedictorians, the kids that do the absolute best in school. And in this article, they said, well, what happens to valedictorians when they go through life? Well, they tend to do well. They most of them graduate from college. Their GPAs are pretty good. They do well. They get good jobs, and they become successful. They get, top level manager positions. But what they found was that valedictorians usually are not the people who change the world, and they're also not likely to become millionaires. They fit into a system, because what they find with the educational system, and this, you're a smart woman, the educational system rewards conformity. It rewards conformity more than it rewards intelligence and capability. And if there's anybody that's going to struggle with that white supremacist conformity, it's going to be our kids. Our kids are going to struggle with it more than anybody. And Absolutely. So a lot of our kids, because they get rejected and misdefined by the educational system, they then internalize that labeling, and for example, when I was a kid, when I was 11, I said, oh, I must be the bad kid. I must be the class clown. I must be the dumb kid. And so I started behaving in a way that fit the uniform that had been put on me. Do you see what I mean?
Yep.
I didn't know at the time. I wasn't mature enough to know that maybe if somebody had sat down with me and gave me a little love and sort of explained some things to me, I would do okay, because I would have these sparks of brilliance, if you want to call it that. Not that I would label myself as a brilliant person. I'm not that arrogant. But I would have these moments where I would blow away my teachers. And, like one time when I was in 7th grade, I'll never forget, most of my report cards in 7th grade would consist of 2 Fs, 2 or 3 Ds, a couple of Cs, and maybe 1 B in gym. That's it. Never made an A in anything. Didn't make an A until I got to college. And one time we took a math test, and I got a little guidance, and I sat down. I really studied for this math test. I didn't get the highest score in my class on that test. I got the highest score in the whole 7th grade. And this was an elite school. This was a school that was, like one of the best schools in the state. Because my mom sent me, again, trying her best to help me. She sent me to the school with all these rich white kids, because I got a little scholarship. Because again, my grades sucked, but I would do really well on the intelligence test. So because I did well on the intelligence test, they said, okay, this kid's just a little troubled. We're going to put him in. So I got the highest score in the whole 7th grade, and all the teachers were like, Boyce got that? The kids were like, what? What? That doesn't make any sense. Even I'm like, are you sure? Like, double check that. But my point in that is to say, I think there are millions of our kids who are like that. Millions of them. If you watch the way they conduct themselves in every other arena of life, everything from battle rap to the way we have our social intelligence is at the highest levels, the street hustlers, everybody, you see brilliance everywhere. We just misidentify it because it doesn't fit into a system. And our kids get thrown away because they don't fit into that system. So what they found with the valedictorians is that the valedictorians don't usually change the world. Because they can't challenge systems. They tend to sort of conform to them. And also they don't tend to become millionaires. Guess what the average grade point average of they surveyed 700 millionaires. Guess what their average GPA was?
Millionaires?
Yes.
What is it? A 2.5?
2.9.
2.9.
2.9. That's smart enough to not be considered dumb, but not exactly what where you put the person in the most likely to succeed category. And basically, a lot of it comes down to the ability to think creatively and to sort of have what was that term you said? It was basically applied learning or
TOL, transfer of learning.
Transfer of learning. Is that where you take what you know and apply it to something? Is that pretty much what it is? Yes, the application. And so for me, what got me going, what really lit my fire when it came to school was when I got to college and I said, okay, I was 18, I had a baby. Don't judge me, but I had a baby at 18, and I was like, I need to find a way to pay my bills and succeed and take care of my daughter. I said, oh, school can do that for me. I need to be good at that. So I studied 6-7 hours a day, and I had the highest grade point average on the entire campus. And college was extremely easy for me. And this was a kid who made F's and D's on every report card all through school. Part of the reason I didn't do it, I can look back and tell you 2 reasons why I didn't do well in school. One was because I didn't really see where it was going to really do much for me. And 2, I felt like nobody loved me.
High school?
Yeah, in high school. I didn't feel like in middle school, elementary, I didn't feel loved. I'll just be truthful about that. So, so what would happen is, if somebody sat down and just said, let me take some time with you and show you how to do this. Let me help you out, or I care about you, or you can do this. I would respond to that. I responded to love, and love would elevate my spirit and light up my intellect. right? And make me engaged in school, and I enjoyed school. I never knew a day in school all the way up through the 12th grade where I enjoyed going to school.
That's interesting you say that, because I think everyone has their, well, I'll speak for myself. I have my story as well as to why I went so far in school. That wasn't always my story. And it seems like those of us that are successful and very successful at what we do, we all have a history. We all have a story that's coming from. I had my daughter, that's the one that goes to the Ivy League university. I had my daughter in college. I was a junior in college when I had my daughter, and dropping out wasn't an option. First of all, I struggled through high school, not because I wasn't smart, was because I had a mouth. I would talk back, meaning like you just can't talk to me any kind of way, because I would lose it when I was younger. And so I didn't do too well for like college material in high school. I got like 70s, I got 80s, I got some 60s. Like I wasn't doing the best. And on my SAT back in those days, it used to be 1,600. Now it's like 2,400 or something like that, right? But back in those days, I scored a 684 on my SAT. You get 200 points for just writing your name, And
you did worse than I did.
I did. I was like, what the hell is this? In the Bronx, they did not prepare. See, you went to a white high school, so they gave you the vocabulary and the language to use in order to apply it. Not in the Bronx. Those teachers didn't care about us. They did not care about us. So I did what I could do. And so my guidance counselor said, why are you applying to four-year colleges? You're never going to get in. And I applied to nothing but 4-year colleges. And out of 10, I got accepted to 7. So that was my ticket out of the hood. I was like, oh, I'm gone. And I went like 5 hours away because I just wanted freedom. And then when I had my daughter, success was the only option. Success was the only option. I couldn't fail from there because I didn't want to be on welfare like my mom. Makes sense? So I married my daughter's father, and I got married, and we did it together. We raised her together until I finished school, and then we moved down here and blah, blah, blah. So my point is, people tend to look at me and assume she didn't have a hard life. That's a lie. She probably went to the best schools. That's a lie. She's so educated, she can't really relate to us. That's a lie. I grew up in the Bronx on welfare, poor, and didn't have the best grades in school, and I'm finishing my doctorate. So it is all possible. I just started to thrive off of succeeding, meaning I didn't want to be like everybody else. I never wanted to be a statistic.
Well, you know what? I'll tell you what, that's what's so interesting. I think that I remember when you did your first video, you had on a hat, and I think the hat said Mercedes on it or something like that.
Yeah.
And I know that you probably got a lot of shit for that, right? You're like, oh, she doesn't know, she's booty. And it's funny that people, if you come up, if you rise out of the ashes and make something of yourself, and you say to other people, look, here's what I did, here's the blueprint, you can do it too. There are so many people that will resent you for that. They will resent you for not being a victim. They will resent you for climbing out of something. Even if you're doing so lovingly and humbly and trying your best to help other people, there's something about it. I don't know. Maybe there's some sort of psychoanalysis that can be done on this, or maybe it's just straight crabs in a barrel. I don't know.
I don't know
would you feel better? I'm serious. Like, would people feel better if you had never worked hard, if you never figured it out, if you just stayed where you were and failed? I don't know.
They say that misery loves company. That's what they say, right?
I think it does.
That's what they say, but I know it's a deeper psychological aspect of it, So when people come at me, everyone has a story. Instead of you looking to judge me or try to figure out my life by a 3-minute video, you cannot possibly figure out my life from a 3-minute video. Why don't you listen to the message that's being delivered? What you think about me, the person, doesn't matter. Apply what you're hearing from the lesson that's gone. People started to talk about my cap or, all the stuff that they had to say. She probably is uneducated. I heard I was unmarried. This is a problem with single mothers. Her child's going to end up in jail.
I thought that was funny. I remember that. I remember everyone assumed that you must be a single mom. and you did the funniest video. I think you said something like, what's this? And you
What's
showed
this?
your
You see that
wedding.
rock? You see
Yeah,
that rock?
I thought that was
All
brilliant.
about that rock.
You had me cracking up. I said, "You go, girl." I was cheering for you like it was a basketball game.
You see the degrees on the wall? Far from uneducated. You see the degrees? Yeah. That video, I was just like, people are nasty. And I was like, keep your mouth off of people's children. Because they didn't even know about my son's disability. But they were just attacking. I was like, people are nasty. Nasty.
Yeah.
And I was coming from the gym. That's why I had on a cap. I wear a suit almost every day, with the exception of the weekend. You know, so I was laughing at them like, whatever.
Well, I'll tell you what, I think you handled it very, very well. And because a lot of people don't know how to deal with that scrutiny that comes. I mean, what was that like to I don't know how many views your videos have gotten before that. I'm not presumptuous on that, but most people don't get a chance to have a video's been viewed, 7-8 million times.
Mm-hmm.
How did you feel like, when the comments were coming in? Was it tough to kind of
deal
with some of the hate?
I think that's an excellent question. People really need to hear this because people want the fame, but they don't want what it comes with it. Mm-hmm. And I remember reaching out to you a time or two, and you just was like, just don't focus on it. Focus on all the people that actually like you. Yes. And even though that helped me a lot, I still needed to speak to my trusty circle. And I remember contacting my friend Nicholas. He makes he's making the music on my videos now that I'm going to start incorporating. But I remember reaching out to him, and he was like, "Don't worry about it. People are fighting for you." Because I had to stop watching it. It started to give me a lot of anxiety because I was like, they don't know me. This wasn't supposed to go viral. And I started getting anxiety from it. And Nicholas really helped me to refocus. He was like, don't worry about it. He started going in on people. And then he was like, you know what, Shonna? Everything you always talk about life, when you say, don't feed into the negative energy, because people are going to talk about you. People are not going to like you. And I always help him and others who are in my circle. Don't feed into that. Ignore it. They see how I carry myself. I can shut down negative energy, like whatever. And then I needed that because it woke me back up, and I just stopped reading the reviews. I had to stop because I had to protect my mental health.
Wow. Well, even Beyonce dealt with that when she first got famous. She would just cry because people would just see her doing her best, and they would find a reason to hate her for it and make things up about her. And eventually, I guess she just grew the thick skin. And I tell you what, I heard somebody say one time. He said it was a very famous person who said, he said, the only thing worse than people talking about me is people not talking about me.
Yes. But it's easy for people to hear that. Is another thing to apply it. People have to experience it to really know what it means. So when I see somebody who will share a video and be like, I don't know this girl personally, but I listen to everything that she says and she's a positive person. These are from people who never respond to my videos. You never know that they're watching, but when something touches them and they share it, then that just lets me know that people really do support me and they really do understand what I'm saying. And they know that I'm not an enemy. I'm not your enemy. I actually love you. I would go to bat for you, even if I don't know you. And when people see the authenticity, when they see who you truly are, they'll fight the trolls for you. You don't even have to entertain the trolls because they will come and they will rip trolls apart for you. But it takes a level of thick skin, like how Beyonce had to go through it. It takes a level of thick skin for you to not have to take in what people say, because people hurt people. And on social media, what I find, there are a lot of hurt people out there. There's a lot of hurt people out there. And there's a lot of people that want the attention. They want the attention. They will anchor onto you just for who you are. You and I spoke about this in a text message when I told you about that one person that was anchoring onto you. But they will anchor onto you for their fame. And then when they get to where they want to be, they'll tear you down. And you have to not feed that kind of energy. So I had to learn that. I had to learn not to feed that kind of energy, because when someone comes at me and I did nothing to them and I don't know you personally, it has nothing to do with me. It has everything to do with that person and their emotions. And what I know about emotions, it means energy in motion, meaning it is unstable. It is always changing. So I just look at them as unstable people and I keep it moving.
Absolutely. I love it. I love the way you break that down, because my thought is that sometimes you'll see people on social media that will spew so much poison that you feel bad for them, because my thought is in order for you to spit out that much poison on a consistent basis, you have to be carrying a whole lot of poison inside of you, and that's got to be rotting your soul. And I feel so bad for you. After I finish,
hurt people.
And it might be after I finish cussing you out, then I come back to back to earth and say, okay, boys, chill out. You really need to. This is when you need to self-actualize and realize that that this person is hurting, and it's your job to maybe either walk away from it if you don't want to see it, or maybe you can just somehow send the love back and let it counter the hate. And that's what I talk about when we talk about loving assertively. I think that that really is a thing, and I think it's a great thing to know how to do, because it helps you keep your sanity when you're dealing with so much insanity in the world.
See what you just said. You said you had to get to a level of self-actualization. Most people never reach that. That requires you to self-examine. That requires you to take inventory on yourself and see how you're showing up and how you may be contributing to some things. And what can you do to dismiss it, to put the fire out? What can you do? It requires you to go within yourself and examine everything about who you are. Most people never reach self-actualization. It takes a lot of work to get there. And people who you are talking about that are negative, they don't know the energy that they're about to reap into their lives, because you reap what you sow. What you put out, it has to come back to you. That is a universal law. There's no breaking of that law. So that's why I'm always cautious about my response to people. I don't always have the best response on earth, but I'm really cautious about these things because I understand how energy works. And I understand it has a boomerang effect. It has to come back. So those negative people that are spilling that energy out there, I don't have to do any of the work. They're going to take care of themselves. It's going to come back to them. Your life must be terrible when you go on social media and you just spit venom all day. You don't have anything better to do in your life. I pray for you. And then I'm going to give you my card so you can come into my office so you can get some counseling. You clearly need to do the work. Clearly need to do the work. I'm glad I did my work. I used to be like that back in the days. That's too much energy to be negative.
Oh my goodness. Forgive the haters, for they know not what they do, right?
Yes, forgive the haters. Right? That should be a t-shirt. Forgive the haters.
There you go. Well, I'll tell you what. Well, first of all, I want everybody to know who I'm speaking with. I'm speaking with the brilliant, extraordinary, and highly unique Shonna Etienne. She is the founder of the Center for Counseling and Holistic Services in West Orange, New Jersey.
Yeah.
Also, her website. I'm gonna give you guys her website. Now, I want y'all to write this down because this is gonna be a spelling test. Her name is Vashonna, Vashonna, Vashonna Etienne, Etienne. So somebody type that into the feed. If you're on Instagram, Twitter, Facebook, type it in. VashonnaEtienne.com.
Or they can text to the number 21777. Let's connect, all one word. Don't let your smartphone correct that term. All one word. Let's connect to 21777, and it will shoot them back all my information. They can go to counseling, they can go to business, they can do anything from that.
Okay. There you go. I love it. So text you can either go to the website and spell Vashonna Etienne, VASHONNA or you can text the word Let's Connect, one word, don't let it correct, make sure you spell check it, to 21777. Just stay connected and support the sister because she's doing such great work. And I just encourage all of you to support Black entrepreneurs that are doing good things for the world. Because without this corner of the Black community, Black entrepreneurs don't have much. Because the white community and the Asian communities don't really support them as much as they could and should. Sometimes it depends, but a lot of times we don't get support from other communities. And then you have a segment of the Black community that hates you because you're trying to do something good or you're trying to build a business. So you got that corner of Black people who I believe will be the foundation of our future. And those are the people that say, okay, I understand why Black businesses matter. I understand why hiring Black people matters and feeding Black children matters, why economic sovereignty matters. So those are the people that I encourage you to be active. Don't just, sort of passively listen to and internalize and absorb information. Act on it, be aggressively loving when it comes to building the future of your community. And I'm gonna tell you, moms like Miss Shonna, are leading the way in that, because I'm a big believer in giving the ultimate respect to the life-giving force of the Black woman. You gave life to the entire earth, and you're going to give life to the future of our community. So I want to say thank you, Miss Etienne, for your time. I truly appreciate it.
I had fun.
Yes.
I didn't get a chance to tell you about the conversation I had with somebody about the shirt, but we'll say that.
Oh, well, let me zip it up. Tell me. Come on.
With this.
Girl, come on.
Listen, I don't know what it is when we support ourselves and we love who we are as Black people, why it makes other people so uncomfortable. I started to see stares. My community is predominantly white and Asian, right? So I started to see some stares from some people, and I was like, it's the shirt. I kept it moving, but no one was brave enough to say anything to me. So I took my son to his doctor's appointment, his dermatologist is Black, but all her staff is white. I don't understand, but it is what it is.
Oh, so, by the way, people are saying they can't see the shirt, so maybe you can tell them, or there you go, show that Black love is beautiful. That's what the shirt says. Okay, so it's a great shirt. Who made that shirt, by the way? Tell me that.
This shirt, I got this shirt from Images You Won't See on TV. They are a Facebook group, and I believe they're on Instagram as well. It's Images You Won't See on TV. You can find them on Facebook. They're an awesome group. And this is where I got this shirt from. So back to the story. So I go into the dermatologist's office, and I don't leave her office because she's a Black woman. And I understand that when I bring her business, I'm feeding her family and putting her children through college. So I love that. And that's why I go. Do I like her staff? No. Are they nasty at times? They do, but I check them and they've learned how to deal with me. And I check them with a smile and always professionally, because the doctor knows that I'm a doctor too. I'm in the field. So we respect each other because of that. But nonetheless, one of the white girls that works at the front, she was like, I like your shirt. And she had like, you know how they have like this stupid smirk on their face? And so I already knew it was coming because the stupid smirk was there. And I was like, thank you. And I, said to my son, go have a seat, sit down. And she goes, have you ever been to Africa? I was like, here we go. I already know it. I was like, oh, it's on my bucket list. Not yet. And I just ignored it. She was like, I have. It's beautiful. I said, really? I said, well, Africa's a continent. Which country did you go to? She was like, oh, I went to Kenya. I was like, oh, that's good. I said, that's great. She was like, it wasn't an experience, but it was kind of weird because everyone was staring at me. I was like, oh, why were they staring at you? And she was like, because the village that I was in, there were like no white people whatsoever. And my girlfriend, she's Kenyan. And I went to go to her house with her family. And everybody in the village was staring at me. And they have like, I don't know what to call them. And she got like really nervous. I said, what do you mean? She was in the house. There's people that, I don't know what to call them. I said, are you saying hired help? She was like, yeah, hired help. And I was saying to myself, what was she going to call them? Because it's kind of foreign for people to see that Black people do have hired help. Before my nanny had a stroke, I had a nanny. We had a cleaning service. I just decided to nix it and save my money. But we do that stuff. And we were going to bring in a cook as well, because my husband and I both own businesses. So we're very hectic. And as you can see from my children, Ivy League and another top high school, we're busy people. So I was like, it's called hired help. And I said, they're like family. She was like, yeah, but everyone stared at me. And I said, why do you think they were staring at you? She said, because I'm white. I said, wow. I said, well, this is what I'm going to say to you, because I understand how that experience made you feel very uncomfortable. She was like, yeah, it was very uncomfortable. I said, the universe has a strange way of teaching us about empathy. And I said, so empathy, people like the word empathy. They like to say, oh, no, I have empathy for others. You really don't have empathy for someone else unless you can experience what they went through. Because it's hard for me to just share the story with you about how people look at me too in my neighborhood. And how I first moved into my neighborhood, I was the foreigner and people were skeptical about me and my family. So, and they weren't looking like me, they were looking like you. So it's a funny way how empathy seems to teach us things. And so you wind up experiencing what many of us experience as being Black here in America, where it shouldn't be that way here in America. And it is, because we are not all Black. Kenya, okay, I can understand. America, no. And she goes, oh, why does it have to be that way? And she got all like, white guilt. Why does it have to be that way? Why can't we just all love each other? I was so uncomfortable. And I don't know why she was saying that. And I said, I don't know what to tell you. I mean, a lot of us are comfortable every day here in America. And I said, so maybe your duty now is to check your friends and your family if they happen to stare at us. and make us uncomfortable because you didn't like the way it feels. And the universe had a way of teaching you what empathy truly is. And she was like, yeah, I respect that. Thank you so much for that. And that was the conversation. That was it. Something about our shirts, when we put black on anything, people feel some kind of way.
Wow. Well, I think that I think it was a great conversation. I think that a lot of these young kids, it's to some extent, they've been victimized a little bit by the ignorance as well, because they're not taught what they need to learn. They're not taught the history of this country. And so some of them, I've taught a lot of white kids through the years at Syracuse and stuff like that. And I love my students. I'm not going to hate people. I just don't do that. And I can tell that some of them were genuinely trying to be good people, but they'd been horribly misinformed about issues of race. And I think that creates just a real uncomfortable conversation. So a lot of these problems in America could be solved if we simply made sure everybody learned what they were supposed to learn.
And if we had a true conversation about race. I have one last question for you, and then we can get off. My question for you is it's funny how you say I went to Syracuse and you taught a lot of white people, but people always believe that you're racist. And they say that some of the things that you say is like spewing hate. What do you say about that? Because if people are not careful with how they listen to the ears, some of the stuff that you say can like make people cringe sometimes, right?
I tend to believe some of what Dr. Claude Anderson says in his book, Black Labor, White Wealth, where he basically says that that most, quote unquote, Black leadership or Black influencers, in society are going to be people that have been sort of given a license to do that through the white supremacist establishment, because they're able to kind of, quote unquote, be a leader of the Black community while making white people comfortable. He said that those who truly advocate for the Black community by telling the truth, representing Black people first, and really saying the things that need to be said are going to be seen as rude, aggressive, reverse racist, etc. And you remember Malcolm X also said that the term reverse racism was a term designed to alleviate, people of the guilt of what they've done to Black women and children for the last 400 years. So I don't pay much attention to that. I've never allowed anybody to let me believe that Black love means white hatred. But what unfortunately is true is that we tend to see ourselves relative to something else. Like even when we have that debate about the wealth gap, for example, it's not that I've ever acknowledged that white people have more money than us or failed to acknowledge it. I acknowledge that completely. But this idea of the gap means that we're somehow, sort of judging our existence based on how we compare to someone else, which unfortunately can sort of cause you to limit your own power. You can sort of, inadvertently sort of say to yourself, well, I have less than he has, so therefore I have nothing. Right? Or it's like a 6 foot man, a man who's 6 feet tall saying, well, that 7 foot is a foot taller than me, so therefore I must be a midget. I must be short. And you see that happen with a lot of Black people, that deficit thinking. So with white supremacy, I think that a lot of the definition that whites have of themselves is based on how they exist relative to Black people. So as Black people rise, then that shifts the dynamic, which causes them to feel some kind of way. Like you're gaining something, so therefore I must be losing something. It's kind of like the way jealousy works, right? You ever see two people that are both struggling, and then one person starts doing better, and then the fact that they're doing better reminds you that you're not doing so great, and so you feel some kind of way because of that. Well, I think that that's kind of what happens with white America. So I sort of just look at it and say, well, it's going to be what it's going to be. You're going to feel how you're going to feel. I don't care, because what I did learn a long time ago when I first started writing articles for the public and doing stuff publicly, that was God's way of preparing me for what I do nationally.
Absolutely.
Back then, I learned very early that when you get into the public eye, you cannot spend a lot of time judging and defining yourself based on what other people say about you, because you're going to have your enemies are going to hate you no matter what. It's like the Democrats and Republicans. The Democrats can say the nicest, the most wonderful thing in the world, like all babies are beautiful, and the Republicans are going to find some way to spin it as crazy and ignorant, right? Same thing. The Democrats do that to the Republicans. So there are some people who are never going to ever like you, and then there are some people who will love you and support you. But for some of those people, unfortunately, their support is conditional upon the fact that you're saying things they want to hear. So you have to be cautious about that too. So you have to be cautious about sort of being consumed by the hate, but you also have to be careful about becoming addicted to the love, because you get
Yeah.
addicted to love, like, oh, people like me and I like being liked. If you get into that, then what's going to happen is when the rubber meets the road and you have to give people tough love and tell them something they don't want to hear, some of those people who used to love you are going to say, yeah, Dr. Watkins, I used to roll with you, but this stuff right here, and you can feel some kind of way. So at the end of the day, I try my best to just let go of any need to sort of be validated and liked and approved of. I just want to tell the truth, and so so that's kind of what helps. I think everybody can find their own process, but whatever it is, you got to find a process, because if you don't, it'll drive you insane. I hope that helps.
It helps a lot, because hey, I'm outright and I'm outspoken, but I think I'm socially responsible, and I think that I do watch my words carefully, but people still think I hate white people anyway. So I don't understand them. Like, what? Where do you guys get this craziness from? But I just think that if you're promoting Black love, Black unity, and to heal or re-heal the Black community, that just rubs people the wrong way, including Black people. I don't know what's going on with that, but that's why I wanted to ask, because I myself, I don't hear you as a racist, but I read some of the comments of people and I'm like, well, why are they saying that? But I guess like some of the words are shockers. It shocks people's systems. And when you put the word Black on anything, it turns almost anybody off, including Black people.
Yes. Yeah. Imagine if you live with someone who robs you and rapes you every day, and they're just used to being able to do that without any pushback.
Yeah.
Just the idea of you saying, look, this is my stuff and it's my body. You can't rob me and rape me anymore. Mm-hmm. They're gonna feel like you've taken something away from them. It's gonna, because they've decided in their mind that they own something that doesn't belong to them.
Yeah.
So when you confront white supremacy, you're automatically gonna get some resistance, because white supremacy comes with a lot of entitlement that people are addicted to. And when you start saying, no, you're not entitled to that, we're taking our community back, and people are going to feel some kind of way about that. But that's the way of the world. That's why when a country decides we're going to be sovereign, or is that the baby?
Yeah.
Oh, you want to bring him in?
No. Okay. We're almost done. He wants a banana. Get your brother a banana. Yeah, Black love, Black support is confronting white superiority and white supremacy. I was told it's the same thing, but white superiority rings on the ears better. That's what one of my doctoral leaders told me. So when we support white superiority, when we make aware that the presence, the existence of white superiority, but yet promote Black love, Blacks who are conditioned to think that white is right, they're turned off by us as well.
Yeah, I think a lot of it's fear. You talked about fear earlier. People, if you're if you're hanging with a bunch of nerdy kids at school, and one of you says, let's go fight the bully, some of the kids are gonna say, no, why don't you go fight the bully, and I'm gonna sit over here.
They'll say, no, hell no.
Yeah, now
I get to keep everything I have because the bully's over there. Don't bring that bully over here, right? So don't talk about the white people, because I need to pay my bills. I need to keep my car. I need to keep my job. don't you dare. Oh no, that's crazy. I can't even be associated with people like that, because then they're going to take my job. Yep.
Right? But now the thing is though, excuse me. Now, if you are that one kid who's strong enough to go fight the bully, and in the terror, the bully's reign of terror, then those other kids who might have been afraid, they gain courage from your courage. So some of us have to do some, right? Some do. I think a lot of them do. I think that a lot of the Black community, unfortunately, we have a segment of the community that really, unfortunately, they're not so much trained to be leaders, they're more followers. And so a lot of them, in my opinion, they remind me of the characters in The Wiz, when Eveline, the evil witch, had all these minions that worked for her. And when Dorothy killed the witch, they took off their uniforms and they were dancing. They were so happy to be free. They really hated her, but they were so afraid to stand up to her that they served her as a means of survival. Black people are the ultimate survivors. That's how we've made it 400 years in this country. So survival a lot of times comes with just complete silence, even in the face of tyranny.
And the reason why I say some is because even the whole concept of like slavery, right? We had the house Negroes that was so comfortable in the home, they did not want to interrupt that whole status. Let's stay in the home because we get to have the good food while you eat the pig feet. I don't want to go out there, so don't mess it up. But when you mess it up, it's like the children of Israel, right? When Moses freed them from Pharaoh and said, "Let's go." Some of them said, "You brought us out here to die. It was better in Egypt."
Yep.
That's the same concept with some of us. We like the idea of freedom. We like the idea of Black economic empowerment. We like the idea of Blacks pulling together and buying the block. We like the idea, but we don't like what it takes to get there. We don't like the pain and the struggle that it takes to get there. So when we have to position ourselves to fight that war and be able to withstand the harsh treatment, the weather's conditions, the poverty, everything that's going to come until we get to the end result, we say, you know what? It was better for me at the white man's job. I didn't have to do any of this. I didn't have to take a pay cut. It was better for me at the white man's job. Right. So that's what I mean when I say when we talk about this, it makes so many people comfortable because they don't self-actualization, right? They don't want to do self-inventory and self-assess to see what's making them so uncomfortable about hearing this. Why is it uncomfortable in your ears? And does anything apply to your life?
Well, by the way, I want to tell everybody on Instagram, you're about to get cut off in 14 seconds.
Okay, yeah, we're done.
No, but I'm going to start over again. If you're on Instagram, just stick around and come right back because I'm going to hit the restart button. On Instagram, it only lets you go live for an hour or something like that.
We can wrap it up because I can get deep on this.
No, but I like what you're saying. I think that what you're saying is very, very important because basically a simple way to say what you just said, I think, is everybody wants to go to heaven, but nobody wants to die. Think about this. I want to lose weight. I've been wanting to get back down below 200 pounds for years. But when I think about the sacrifices necessary to get there, I'm like, man, isn't there an easier way? Can't I do the chocolate cake diet instead? And that's where people like the Malcolm X's of the world are important because they let you know freedom isn't free. Freedom is not easy to obtain. Freedom is for grown folks. Freedom is not for children. And what I mean by that is a child is a person who says, I can have my cake and eat it too. A child is like, I think about when I was 11 and I went to my mama because I got a couple of pubic hairs on my body parts and I thought that I was a man and my voice had deepened. And so I thought I was really going to conduct myself as a man. And my mother reminded me and my father reminded me very quickly that you ain't no man. You can't pay your own bills. You can't feed yourself. You can't clothe yourself. Go try it. Go get your ass out of this house and go try to take it. And then I realized, there's a cost to being the boss. So when I got older, I learned that if I really want to be free, I needed to get out of my mama's house. I can't be 30 years old living with my mama talking about I'm a grown ass man. That does not work. That's an incongruent kind of way of thinking. So for Black folks, I think that what you got to realize is that every nation on this earth that has ever become free had to fight for that freedom. They had to sacrifice for the freedom, and they had to learn how to defend that freedom. Because that's the thing. Getting the freedom is one thing, but once you have it, people are always going to try to take it. If you have a small country, people will always be saying, well, we think we might find an excuse to invade that country so we can go get their oil or so we can go get their gold. So when you have something worth having, people are always going to try to take it. And I think that the reason I say freedom's for grown folks is because a mature person understands that sometimes it ain't even personal. It's just life. That's kind of the way things work in the world, that when you get something other people want, you need to be able to defend it. You can't sort of become a victim all the time. Always define yourself as a victim and think that whining about the fact you've been victimized is going to make it right. No, people will take your shit and laugh at you as you're sitting on the corner crying because somebody done took your stuff. And that's what Black people don't. We never learn that. I think other communities know that. I can't go up in Chinatown and gentrify Chinatown. I can't get with my Black friends and go gentrify Chinatown. It ain't going to work. You
can't come in my town and gentrify. The Asians own my town.
There you go. Right. Because they understand. No, we got it. We took it. We built it, and we're going to defend it. We're not going to let you have it. And so Black people, I think, have to learn this. And it's just sort of natural competition that exists in the world. Nobody will ever, go into a competitive situation with you and congratulate you for winning. meaning the other team will never really congratulate you or be happy for you, truly happy for you, if you took a trophy that they believe belonged to them. You know, the Cleveland Cavaliers would never be happy that the Golden State Warriors won the trophy. They might say, "Oh, good game, man. I respect you."
Yeah.
But they're never going to say, "Well, we really like Golden State and we really just want to give them the NBA championship because, I mean, we won it last year. So it's only fair that they get it this year." See, that's the language that we're trained to switch.
But that's what you and I know. That's what we know. So many people, I'm not saying everybody, but there's more people who have been conditioned to believe just the opposite. They believe like, oh, well, no, we can all get along. We can all be winners. We can all be in this together. That's a lie. The system doesn't work that way.
Nope.
So it's another way of keeping you oppressed. And the only way we are going to be free is if we free ourselves. That's how it has to happen. That's how it has to happen no matter what. We can't just say, like, what do they do with these sports team now with these kids where everybody gets a trophy? No, you lost. What do you mean everyone gets a trophy? You lost. You don't get a trophy. I'm a real competitive sports mom. I'll play no games. They're like, "Here go Jason's mom again." So I'm like, no, they lost. You know?
Yes.
And that's the whole concept. People want this whole utopian society where everyone is equal and everyone gets to enjoy no, you get to enjoy your fruits of your labor if you work for it and you get it on your own, not because somebody gave it to you. But here's the catcher, Dr. Boyce. Here's the catcher. For those of us who have come up, we always have to make sure we pull people up so that they can be on the same team as us, on the same level as us. But what I see sometimes with some Black folk, and you know, I don't like to publicly talk bad about Black folks, so I'm not going to go to anybody's names or go too deep. But some Black folks, when they get to that level, they oppress other Blacks. That's a problem. That's a problem when we start taking on the mindset and the behaviors of our oppressors.
That's right. That's right. I agree with you.
And that happens so often. And so even in African communities, in a continent of Africa, different countries over there, where the Black people rose to power, but yet they oppress the other ones. So it's taking on that whole mindset of their oppressors. And we have to be very careful about that because there's some of us will rise and then we'll stay there by keeping others down.
Well, you know what? I'll tell you what, if you rise by yourself and you keep other Black people down, then you're not going to have any teammates and you're going to be surrounded, you know? And so
no, they don't rise by themselves. They rise with a team. And then when they get there, they stomp on everyone's head.
That is so true. That is so true. You know, I think that in general, I think that Black people, when you talk about things like business and commerce, I don't like the term Black capitalist or capitalism to be used because I've seen capitalism at its worst. I think that Black people can have our own models of success, you know, that deviate from capitalism, the so I guess oppressive model that exists out there. I think that we can have models where everyone benefits and everyone wins, but everyone puts skin in the game, everyone carries their weight. You know, I think that when we see Black people as either, you know, sort of one-off successes where we got the chosen Negro, or you have, you know, or we see the whole community as a charity case, we end up, you know, sort of mixing it all up. I believe that you can't have models where everybody wins and everybody elevates.
Be quiet, James.
And I'll tell you what, you're not a successful Black person if you're not elevating other Black people. I mean, that's a fundamental fact. So I want to say thank you for elevating. I appreciate it. And thank you for being so focused. I hear the baby in the backgroround and you're handling it though. You're handling it.
He's with his cars. I took up an hour and a half of his time, so I can't say anything
well,
else.
You know what? I'm going to give you back to the baby. And so I want to tell everybody that this is Miss Shonna Etienne. She is the founder of the Center for Counseling and Holistic Services in West Orange, New Jersey. She's an awesome mom and a great entrepreneur. If you want to follow Miss Etienne, please write this down. You can text the words "Let's Connect." It's one word, not two. Let's Connect. Make sure you don't spell correct it. Just Let's Connect, one word, to 21777. That's 21777. Now, I'm Dr. Boyce Watkins from Intellectual Chocolate. If you want to subscribe to Intellectual Chocolate, tell your friends about it. Please, please, please do. These conversations are powerful and interesting, if I do say so myself. And you can subscribe by going to intellectualchocolate.com. Also, if you subscribe, you'll get a free set of financial literacy lessons to help you get started on your wealth building journey. So
and it's worth it. So subscribe, people. It's worth it.
There you go. There's an endorsement. That's all I need. I'm dropping the mic now, and we're
Drop the
gonna get out of here. There you go. Thank you for dropping it for me. I had no mic.
I love you. Have a great one.
Love you too, sister. It's wonderful having you, and thank you guys for hanging out with us. And you guys have an awesome day. Take care,
Yes, bye,
Shonna.
everyone.
Bye-bye.